Hello, welcome to Skip Squad Chronicles with me, your host, Dizzy Skips. Every episode, I sit down with someone from our amazing jump rope community to hear their unique story, the ups, the downs, and all the skips in between. Join us as we share laughs, insights, and the spirit that makes this community truly one of a kind. Let's jump right in. Hey, folks, it's Dizzy. This podcast recording software has a teleprompter feature where I can load in a script and then, it'll make a teleprompter and I can just read off the screen. I'm sure you're like, duh, dude, you sound like a robot. We know you're reading off a teleprompter. But anyway, every time I've had to use it, I have had to re-record at least twice, sometimes more, because either it's too fast or I'm too fast. And that certainly happened in this episode. But also, I talked to my friend on Saturday, and we talked for about an hour, recorded our episode, and then we're chatting back and forth later on in the day and felt like we had more to say and that maybe we could do a little better. So we got back together on Sunday, had another chat, and generated about 2 hours worth of conversation. So rather than drop a 2-hour podcast on you, I'm going to split it into a couple different episodes because I think there's some cool different topics in the different conversations. So I hope you enjoy. It's at AaronJumps.365. Aaron Fleming, fabulous guy. You should be following him. And I hope you enjoy this episode. Cheerio. Ladies and gentlemen, cats and kittens, this is episode 5 of the Skip Squad Chronicles podcast with me, your host, Dizzy Skips. I love the jump rope community and the people I've met. This corner of the internet is a happy place where we improve ourselves and help others through skipping rope. Because it takes so long to get to know folks through social media, I decided to start this podcast where I can rope jumpers into interviews and have fun conversations to find out what makes them tick. Jumping rope and shuffling have improved my life in so many ways, and a lot of the credit goes to the support of badass jumpers like my guest today. So in our 5th skip session today, I'm thrilled to talk to my friend Aaron Fleming, a.k.a. Rope Wrangler Extraordinaire. He's a fun guy to follow and a fabulous rope skipper. If you don't know Aaron already, you can find him on Instagram at AaronJumps.365, and I'll put his link in the show notes. So let's just jump right in. Aaron, thank you so much for joining me today.
All right. How you doing?
I'm so excited to talk to you. Good. Well, let's kick it off with just like, where are you at? Where are you located?
In Doncaster, which is South Yorkshire, and then I'm originally from Milton Keynes, so my accent's all over the place.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need... I can distinguish from some different British accents, but I feel like I need a lexicon or a lesson in, the different accents, because there is quite a difference as you travel around, right?
Yeah. So like a different town can have a completely different accent, especially in Yorkshire. There we've got Barnsley, Sheffield, Rotherham. Everyone's got like their own little twang. So,
that's fun. When did you start jumping rope?
So 400 and something days ago. I can't remember, what am I on? 454.
Yeah.
I just literally picked up the rope and started jumping.
Was there an inciting incident? Did you decide you wanted to get healthy, or did you do it for a cause?
So I tried it before, briefly, but then, like when you start jumping, you're like, I'm going to do an hour, because I didn't realize that there was like, you do 100 or 1,000. I was like, I'm just going to do it for an hour. So I kept getting injured. So I did. I had a little bit of experience going into it. And then one day I just woke up and went, I'm just going to create an Instagram account and post skipping videos. Literally like that.
Cool. Had you been watching like other people's skipping videos?
Nope.
Just kind of like, boom, I'm going to do this.
Yeah. So literally I had to skip rope. I was like, I'm just going to skip, and like I could do a crossover, and I thought that looked pretty cool. So, went on from there.
Yeah, I think of you as kind of the crossover king. Like, I watched another one of your videos this morning, and there's literally, like, no time that you're not crossing somehow. You're like, it's trick after trick after trick. I was going to joke that I counted, and there was 500,000, but, you're quite the rope wrangler.
Yeah, that all just started just because I obviously did a crossover, and for the first 100 and something days, I didn't realize there was other skippers. Like, I didn't know there was a community. So I would just go, I'll do this cross, and I wonder if I could do this from that cross. Because I'll obviously just standing still and doing one crossover every now and again was getting pretty old pretty quickly. So
yeah. Did you do you use any sort of app, or how are you learning?
So once I discovered the community, then it was literally because I've got a thing of not doing tutorials. You know, like watching a tutorial. So I'll watch someone do a move in the middle of a combo, and I'm like, I want to do that move, and then try to figure it out myself. And then obviously I would land a different move entirely and think, I've done that move. Oh, no, it's a different one. But yeah, that's literally how it is. I just try a move that I see in a combo and hope it works.
So, so you're basically just watching people on Instagram. You haven't like used an app or had a coach or anything like that?
No, none of that. Yeah, just literally Instagram. So when people go, you're amazing at doing up grasses, I'm like, it's only what I've seen everyone else do. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, one thing I've heard from a lot of different people on Instagram is how helpful that you've been to them in helping them, like sending them tutorials and things like that on learning some of that stuff. And I know you've offered to do the same for me, which I really appreciate. I think you're a shining example of what makes this community really great.
Cheers.
So, yeah. So I feel like you jump a lot in your backyard. One of my questions is like, what are your normal and favorite places to jump?
So yep, literally always in my back garden. So I had a little spot around the corner, and then I moved it to this one because it's a little bit bigger. But yeah, I've literally jumped in 2 spots. I don't jump outside or anything like that. It's just my garden.
Yeah, and I've joked with you about your stocking feet. Like you seem to, like wearing shoes seems to be the exception for you, unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah. So when I'm wearing shoes, it's awkward to explain when everyone else wears shoes and I don't like wearing them. But I feel like it's too springy when you jump in. So and then I can't really feel where my feet are, so that I really struggle with it. So obviously I've got these new shoes now, which are the shoeless ones, and it just helps me feel the floor better when I'm jumping.
And are those kind of like the aqua sock things that have the toes and stuff?
Mine doesn't have the toes, but you can get them with toes, yeah.
I know you struggled with an injury recently, and I wondered if not wearing shoes maybe exacerbated that, or if you find that when not wearing shoes, you have to change your style, or you tend to get injured more.
So I've had quite a few injuries whilst doing this. So as you can imagine, doing it 450 days in a row.
Yeah.
But all the injuries have come from other things. So I've been playing football a lot recently, and I've had so many injuries from that already.
Mm-hmm.
I'll fall over and then hurt myself, and then that's another injury. Hurt myself in the gym, but it's never skipping, never jumping.
Yeah, well, that's good. And you're not falling off limestone benches anywhere.
No.
So what about your gear? Like, what type of ropes do you use, or do you have multiple ropes? Are you a hoarder like me?
I am slowly building it up, but initially I just started with a speed rope and a weighted rope. And then obviously I've got like a beaded rope now, where I got that from Dope Ropes. So I've been using that a lot, but then I don't really use it unless I'm doing like recording. So like I'll use my other ropes and then use the beaded rope for recording. So it's
why is that?
I just prefer the weighted rope. Like the weighted rope's my favorite rope, but then you can't really see what it's doing, so I just push it to its side and use my beaded rope.
How heavy is your weighted rope?
It's £1, and I'm looking at trying to get some heavier ones.
Yeah, that is a seriously heavy rope.
Yeah,
I mean, I think you consider like a quarter pound a heavy rope. So a whole pound is quite a bit. You got the guns though, right? From using that.
Yeah. So I did a 40-day one where I was just using just the heavy rope. You know, like I wasn't having a day with the speed rope, and I was only using the heavy rope.
Yeah.
I felt that pretty quickly.
Yeah. I think it must have been March or April. We still had snow on the ground, and I did a little video where I was jumping with a heavy rope, and I had this brilliant idea to see if I could plow snow with it. And so I jump into this slushy snow and get it all over me, which was exactly what I thought would happen. But
I remember the video. I've seen that one.
Do you?
Yeah.
That's where you realized what a genius I was, right? So what has been the hardest thing for you to learn or to master?
So I seem to be fine with all the arm tricks that they're fine. It's when I need to bring my legs into it. That's when it's It all goes wrong for me. So footwork and all that sort of stuff. No, I'm not doing any of that.
So when you,
Although I have been trying with we do like this thing at the end of the month where we do footwork challenges. So I've been trying to do it, but it's not for me.
when you say we do this thing at the end of the month, is this like you and a friend, or is this you and a?
Oh. There's a group, and every month what they'll do at the beginning. Oh, sorry. What they'll do at the beginning is say we're going to do this footwork routine. Then it's open to your own interpretation on how you do that. So yeah, it's just something little I've been trying to do a little bit more footwork.
Cool. Do you do like boxer step, or like what is your go-to footwork?
It would be some boxer step variations to it. So like I'll do like the running man, a couple of boxer stuff, but yeah, for the most part I'm just jumping the whole time.
Yeah. Are you listening to music while you jump always, or?
I did for ages. I was doing it, like, and then I try and record a video to the music, but then it just never worked well for me because I would get stressed out with the song, and then I was like, I don't want to listen to that song anymore. And then I would watch it back, and I'm like, it doesn't even go with the song. I'm like, what's wrong with me? I've been listening to a song and I've done skipping, it doesn't go with it.
Yeah. So now you don't skip with music?
No, none at all. Or it will just be like, in the background, quite quiet.
Okay. That's so hard for me to understand. It's so integral to my skipping is my music playlist. So, but I have to say, like, I've got several great songs from watching your feed. And even though you're not skipping the music, you mix your reels with music. And so like 99 Problems was one that I hadn't seen before. And I saw that on your feed and was like, oh my God, this song is awesome. And so I've been singing to myself, I got 99 problems, but a bench ain't one, because I jump on benches. You mentioned getting injured. What sort of injuries have you or have affected your jumping? I guess you said none of them have come from jumping, but has it been mostly like the football stuff?
So I've had a couple of broken toes. So one of them was ridiculous. I was walking in my gym, and there was a weight in the way. So I picked it up, and then didn't think about it, and then just dropped it onto my own toe. So, yeah, I broke my toe doing that. I've had I pulled my groin. That was horrendous to jump with. But that was when I was still doing the 365, so I was like, I'm gonna keep jumping. That was hard work. And that hurt for like 4 weeks as well, and I was still posting every day and still jumping. And then obviously I've done my hamstring. And then there's been a few other things, like I smashed my head open. Yeah. That I did a jumping squat under a door frame and smashed it open. But then obviously I've got to jump the next day, and I'm like, if it hits me in the head, it's going to really hurt. But yeah.
Yeah. How tall are you?
6'7".
Oh my God. You're quite tall. 6'7". I'm like 5'10", so you would tower over me. So what do you feel like you get from jump rope? Like, how has it affected your life, Aaron?
So before I started jumping rope, all I would do would lift. All I would do would be just to lift weights. That was literally all I did. So I'd get in from work, go in the gym, lift weights up. Get in from work, but I've got an office job, so I'm repeating this over and over again, and I'm just getting heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier. The more I'm doing it. And then, obviously, that's when
building up muscle?
Yeah. So I'm building up muscle, but I'm eating lots of food and not moving. So I'm obviously getting fat. I think at one point I was 20 stone.
Okay.
Which, obviously, that's not a healthy way to live. So, yeah. So I just needed to introduce some sort of cardio, which I could keep doing. I don't like running.
Boring.
Yep. I did cycling before, but I broke my collarbone doing it, so that's sort of out the question. So I just thought I'd try skipping. It was either skipping or rowing. So you could have been watching reels of me just rowing away. But yeah.
There's not a lot of rowing tricks, are there?
No. I would
Right.
probably try to jump with the rowing machine, but
Right. Into crossovers with the paddles.
Yeah.
So presumably as a result of jumping rope, you lost weight or
Yeah, so I went from 20 stone, and then I weighed myself relatively recently, and I was 15 and I was closer to 16 stone, but I was obviously 15 stone and a bit, which I was like, well, I'm 15 stone.
wow. That is a
But yeah.
huge loss, huh? That's amazing. I think you've heard me say that I jump for mental health as well. And do you get any of those kind of benefits out of it?
Yes. So before I was working out, I was quite depressed. So I obviously drinking a lot of alcohol and just not doing anything because I've just got an office job. I'm just sitting in my office, coming home, sitting down playing the game, drinking alcohol. Yeah, and that was sort of like my existence, which it isn't ideal. I've got kids and I've got a missus and all that sort of stuff. So then it sort of triggered me to do weightlifting. So I was doing that, thinking I was getting super healthy. And then obviously then I realized I need to do some cardio and all that sort of stuff. But I've got an addictive personality, so if if I'm doing nothing and I'm eating food, I will get addicted to eating food. I'll get addicted to drinking beer. I'll get addicted to smoking cigarettes. So what I've sort of managed to do is focus my addictions at doing fitness, going out and doing a skip, going into the gym. Although skipping's sort of overtaking the gym at the minute, but we'll get back on that.
Yeah, well, that's great. So, what is your favorite aspect of jumping rope? Like when you're jumping rope, we've talked about you doing crosses and tricks, but like what makes you go out again and again every day and skip?
It's just a challenge, to be honest, of just doing it every day. So obviously it started out when I was just I started out and I was doing it was on like day 3, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna do it every day for a year as a joke. And then obviously some days it's super hard and it's snowing outside and the wind's coming and ripping my mat off the floor. So the challenge of like, right, I'm going to go outside again. Yeah, and it's just normal for me now. So just going and doing it is just like a normal activity that I do in the day.
Yeah, I think that's so great. I think for me, it's the same sort of thing. I'm also an addictive personality, and my stepmom jokes like she'll say you're something to the effect of like you're dizzying it up, meaning like you're going full throttle on something. You know, like if I get into drawing, then I'm really into drawing. If I get into jump rope, I'm really into jump rope and sort of obsessive about it.
And of course, it's easy to fall into it's easy to fall into the bad stuff, isn't it? Like playing on the video games and all that. And so easy to go the wrong way.
Yeah, absolutely. I noticed like here in Minnesota, it gets quite cold in the winter and we get snow and stuff like that. And sometimes comfort food, like just big a bowl of pasta sounds good. And then it sounds good every single night. And then I'm just like loading up on carbs. And I think jump rope has really helped kind of modulate some of that behavior and then also help me focus on it. And for me personally, I don't know about you, once I started seeing like I was losing weight and I was feeling like I could do this for a longer period of time, it was motivating. So when I craved, that big dessert or something like that, I would have that voice like, do you really want that? You worked so hard to get where you're at.
Yeah.
So,
I've definitely had that a few times. It's like how I am now, like even with lunches at work, when you can splurge out a little bit because the shops are there and all that sort of stuff. I still like to go to the shop for that little walk to the shop, but I'm literally like, that's got 20 grams of protein in it. That's got 20 grams of protein in it, and just buying all the protein stuff now. But so in regards with the skipping, it has changed like how I would view food in general. So if I have a 14-inch pizza the day before, and then I'm trying to skip on that, it doesn't go very well.
Yeah.
So I have to think about what I'm eating because it's a nightmare.
Yeah. I had a 14-inch pizza last night. I treated myself.
I still do that knowing I'm going to struggle the next day, but less.
Yeah. All right, so this is very important. What do you get on your pizza? What are your toppings?
I like mine quite basic, you know. I'm a big fan of just the cheese pizza or just a little bit of pepperoni on it.
Okay,
Yeah, definitely no pineapple. The pineapple's a big.
really? Yeah,
Yeah.
I do like the ham and pineapple, that Hawaiian as well, but pepperoni, I get jalapenos on it. I like spicy stuff, so that's my favorite.
I
Do
like
you?
spicy food too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I live in the Midwest in the U.S., and these people are very meat and potatoes people and not very into spicy. You know, they think like mild or medium salsa off the shelf is spicy. And so, yeah, I spice things up. Aside from your goal for jumping for 365 days, do you set goals for like your progress? Like you mentioned, like learning more footwork, or do you just kind of flow?
Yeah, I just sort of go with it. So what I tend to do is Instagram. I'm like, I see someone do a cool move. I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that, and I'll comment on it. I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that. I go outside, and then I'm like, well, I'm not doing that. I'm doing what I want to do. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I just sort of just go with the flow and see what happens with it.
Mm-hmm. Um, do you laugh at yourself while you're jumping?
I'm a super serious jumper,
Yeah.
so I'll do a trick, and if I fail, I'm start getting angry, and I'm throwing the rope, I'm throwing the tripod, and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, I get so angry doing it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think I told you months ago that at the beginning of the year, you know, I injured myself so badly that I couldn't really walk right for like 6 weeks, and I definitely couldn't jump or shuffle or anything like that. And so once I was able to jump again, I was just so happy to be out there that if I made mistakes, I would dance. You know, I didn't get very frustrated. Now, occasionally, like I get frustrated if I'm trying to land a trick and it just can't. But
I do remember seeing those reels when you would you'd be so relaxed by tripping. I'm like, how are you relaxed? Why are you not? Why is the rope not in there? Why are you not snapping your rope in half?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't often throw my rope. I did one recently and posted a reel with it. But yeah, usually I'm pretty. I really feel so thankful to be able to jump rope, and I am old enough that my body doesn't always want to cooperate, and so when I'm feeling good enough and I can, you know, really flow, I just feel like it's such a blessing. So, can you talk a little bit about the jump rope community? You mentioned like when you started out, you really weren't aware of the community so much. When did you become aware of it, and then how has it affected your progress?
So what happened was I sort of started, and I had a couple of followers. It was mainly my brother and stuff that would interact with my reels.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw a cancer research challenge. My sister said, "Oh, Aaron, you should do that. You're already doing it." I was like, "Oh, ideal." So I joined that community. There was like 30,000 other skippers there.
Holy moly, that's awesome.
Obviously, everyone's at like a basic level with it. Then obviously I'm doing like crossovers because I've done a little bit just before that challenge. And then we just sort of like built an offshoot community of that, which obviously included Andrea and
Mm-hmm.
Mandy, but she's not on Instagram. But yeah, that's a different topic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we just had quite a few of us, and we just kept on going. And then obviously
Mm-hmm.
I was editing on Instagram, and I would get like 12 views or whatever on my video, and
Mm-hmm.
just keep posting it to Facebook. And then after a while, there was a couple of people, and they just like shared what I was doing, and then I got a couple of followers, and then it just like slowly built up over time.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously now my Instagram's big and Facebook not so much because everyone's got bored of it and all that sort of stuff. But yeah,
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder why like I use that feature of Instagram to send my reels to Facebook, but I could have a reel on Instagram that gets 1,000 views and it will get 10 on Facebook, or, you know, 8 or something depressing like that.
opposite for me when I was doing it. So
Really?
yeah, because obviously it
Yeah.
was part of that group. Um, I guess people just wanted to see. Obviously, they just started jumping, and I'm doing a couple of crossovers. So
Mm-hmm.
There were loads of people interacting with it and stuff, which obviously felt good when you're doing something and there's loads of people saying, "Oh, you're doing brilliantly."
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I would have continued without that support. Actually, like when my Instagram's getting 12 views, and then if I share it to Facebook, it's getting 12 views, and I'll be like, I think anyone wants to see this.
Yeah. Yeah, I know in the first episode when I had Andrea on, she mentioned that she was inspired by you going on to do tricks and that was one of the things that made her continue, which is cool. So when you are trying to learn a trick and you're kind of feeling stunted or like you can't quite land it, how do you approach that? Do you just push through or do you like let it go for a little bit? Do you have a tactic for attacking new tricks?
So it's sort of the same as when I'm doing combos. They don't go right all the time. So I could be out there for an hour, just like, right, this time I'll do it, this time I'll do it, this time I'll do it. Yeah, so I just keep on going and hopefully I get it. So if I tell myself I'm doing a backflip, for example, I'm going to be outside until I do a backflip. I'm not coming back in.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's literally all I do. I'm just like, right, that's it. I'm doing a backflip now.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you have missus and children. How do you carve out time, or when do you carve out time to jump? Do you have a standard time that you jump?
So I do it the second I get back from work. So I'll get back from work, go straight and jump rope, and then it's family time after that. So
okay,
but they're used to that anyway because of the gym. I would go to the gym every day, so it's just the same sort of thing. But obviously, I'm at home instead of out and about.
Yeah. Are you like a 9 to 5 worker or an 8 to 5 worker? You mentioned office job.
Yeah, 9 to 5.
9 to 5.
Obviously, there's times where you have to stop while 6, which is it's fine in the summer and fine in the winter, but it's not fine when it's the middle part and you don't want to skip in the dark.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the depressing time of year when, at least here in the U.S., daylight savings time goes off, and we lose an hour, so it gets dark at like 5 p.m. and it's frustrating.
We've got that here as well.
Yeah. So, one thing I'm interested to hear from you is when you see new jumpers or people who are interested in maybe jumping, what sort of advice or experience can you give them?
It's quite a funny one actually, because when we was doing that group, on Facebook where we had continued skipping beyond the 100 skips, then we would obviously the next time another challenge would happen, we would get a few more people joined and so on and so forth. And then Ellie joined. I can't remember her handle and my phone's going to play a reel if I open it. So. I remember she joined and she must have been there 2-3 days, and I'm like, do a crossover, just do a crossover. So I'm not great at advising straight away. Like I always say, have fun and all that sort of stuff, but then I'm trying like do a crossover, do tricks at the same time. So yeah.
So your advice is do a crossover?
Yeah, my advice is always do a crossover. Yeah.
That's great. So funny. Well, I asked you about, I don't know if I asked you about cravings. You mentioned pizza and stuff like that, but if you come home and go straight out to jump rope, presumably you have dinner after your jump roping or jumping rope?
So, typically it's straight have a dinner with a coffee. I love my coffee.
Me too, man. How do you take your coffee?
I used to use sugar, but I use sweeteners now and just a bit of milk with my coffee. Yeah.
And
then I have about 10 cups a day, so it's not ideal, but
yeah. I joke that I like my coffee like I like my women, like dark, hot, and bitter. So I know you said that you're quite a serious jumper, but what are some of the funnier things that have happened to you while jumping rope or as a result of jumping rope?
I get whipped a lot. I like ridiculously so. I mean, it's not even funny. Like, I always find it, when you see someone else get whipped, and that's funny. But then when it happens to you, you're like, this is horrendous. But yeah, I've had whips across my back so bad that it's bled. And then the next day, I'm whipping myself in the back again. I'm like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? Yeah. the amount of whips I've had, like learning different moves, and I remember one time my legs, arms, and back was just literally red with loads and loads of whip marks.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I've done that
Is it-
myself.
it's not funny at the time, but looking back, it's pretty fun.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun. It's funny that you stick with it. You know, most people who would be beaten up by a rope would like stop whipping yourself. They would just stop jumping. But I will do it until I'm black and blue because I don't know. John Mellencamp had that song "Hurts So Good," and I always think of that when I slap myself with the speed rope. Like it hurts, but I'm glad to be out here doing it.
Yeah, yeah, it's weird the amount of times you hurt yourself and you just keep on going. It's almost like we like it.
You've jumped for 400 and however many days it's been now. Have you had days where you just really had to push yourself? Like, I don't want to do this today, but I got to keep it up.
At the start, there was a lot of days because I had shin splints and all sorts of stuff trying to jump rope and stuff like that. But yeah, it's like some days I'll get back and I was like, oh, I just want to go to the pub. Like I'm jumping rope, but like everyone else is going to the pub, I'm jumping rope. So they're hard to even start jumping those days. And then obviously it affects everything, and then it ends up being 3 hours I'm outside for, and yeah. I definitely have days where it's so hard just to go outside and jump. And then like in the summer, it's easy, isn't it? It's sunny and it's great weather, so that's the easy part. It's mainly the winter.
Yeah. Do any of your family jump rope, or do you have like friends locally that jump with you at all?
No, my brother does a little bit of jumping time to time. My kids, obviously, I've helped to try and teach them when they actually stay engaged with it. But yeah, I've never actually come across another jumper, someone else skipping rope. So it's kind of weird. I'm like, what if Instagram's all a lie and I'm just the only person?
Yeah, everybody else is a bot or an AI. Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. The town I live in, the population is, I think it's like 16,500 people. And so far, I've not seen anybody else jump rope. I've had a lot of people, stop and comment on my jumping rope. But I feel like I need to inspire someone locally to come out and jump with me. Or get, like I said before, get sponsored. And I want to come to one of those meetups in the UK. I think that would be awesome. They sound like so much fun. Have you ever been to one of those meetups?
No. So I am going to try and do more and more meetups. Hopefully one day do my own. But again, I don't know anyone in my area that skips. So that could be quite difficult to organize in my own area.
Yeah. Well, any other advice or things that you would like to say to the jump rope community?
I think the most important thing is to have fun and don't struggle by yourself. So whether that be trying to learn a trick or anything like that, if just put it out there and say, does anyone know how to do this? And someone's going to jump in and say, yep, do it like this. You don't have to spend ages struggling. And the same with most things. If you've got a problem in general, there's obviously people there that's going to help you. Like it's the most supportive community I've seen. Unlike football, everyone's at each other's neck. They don't want the spot.
Right. Yeah, I think that's great. I think so much of jump rope for me is competition against myself. Like I need to be able to level up my footwork. I need to be able to wrangle a rope like Aaron, or at least get better at it. And but I have thankfully learned that I don't have to compete with you. Like I'm competing against myself. And if I compete with you, I'm going to lose every time on the rope wrangling end, at least.
I will lose on the footwork too.
Yeah. Well, my plan for the winter is to work more on the rope work. I still need to get smooth at releases, and I'm not. But
it all takes time. Obviously, you're doing what you want to do. You want to go and do your footwork and stuff like that. If you're not wanting to do crosses, there's no point doing all the crosses. This is the way I view it. So I don't like doing the footwork, so I don't do the footwork. Just stick with what I enjoy doing. Also, with the competition aspect, where you're like, I don't view that person as competition, which I agree with. Obviously, it's just you versus you. Until someone else can do a move that you want to do, then you're like, you're the enemy. And yeah, the amount of times I've been watching someone's reel, like, "Ah."
Yeah. I guess I don't think of them as the enemy. Sometimes I do feel a little envious, like, oh my God, how can they do that? Like, will I ever be able to do that? And sometimes my brain, I think the depressive part of me wants to say, oh, you'll never get there. But I think the truth is, like, if you show up, especially like you, showing up every day for 365 days and putting in time, you will get better. You can't help it. And definitely if you reach out to people on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you play, I think so many people in this community just want to see you succeed, and they want to help. I know I do, because I've got so much help from people like you and others in the community. And it feels good to be positive, right?
Yeah. It's the most important thing. Like, you can obviously be as negative as you want, but the same energy to be negative, you could have just been positive. So it's just
Exactly.
makes sense to be as positive as you can.
Yeah.
Even if your fingers do get hurt from all the typing, scrolling and typing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I think I've said it before on the podcast that I am just a believer in that you put good energy out there and good energy comes back to you. And, there's a lot to the idea of manifesting or whatever, but, people who, when I should talk about myself, when my self-talk has been relentlessly negative, everything goes wrong. Everything is a problem. But when I can talk to myself and say, you're doing the best you can and just keep at it, you're going to get better, then I feel better, and I act better toward other people. So,
yeah.
Well,
I'm a mixture on that, to be honest. So, like, when I'll do it, I'm like, yes, I smashed that. Then I'll go and edit it, and I'm like, that was terrible. And that's obviously the energy I'm putting out is just I'm telling myself I'm terrible every time on the internet. Yeah, which isn't ideal. But like, because if I see someone else doing that, I'm like, you need to be more positive with how you're talking about yourself. But then, obviously, I do it myself, so it's easy to do.
Well, try to remember to talk to yourself like you would talk to me, and I'll do the same for you. Because I know I can have really negative self-talk, and it just never helps anything ever.
Yeah. It spirals, and obviously, like, when you've had a bad session, and then the next day you're thinking about that bad session, and then there's another bad session, and I've had all of them.
Yeah. I think that's one of the ways that music helps me, is that I'm such a music nerd that if I can get a song or a playlist or whatever that really connects with me, it's easier for me to get lost in the song and in the jumping rope and to that point of like nirvana for me, where I'm just flowing and not thinking about it. I just love that place. Do you feel like you get there, or are you constantly thinking while you're skipping? Like you're a relentless trickster, I should say.
So a lot of it, like, there's obviously certain moves. So there's an elephant which you do the crossover under your leg. It's like that move, I'll be thinking about the tricks, like, specifically, but then certain ones, I've done them that many times, I'm just sort of going through the motion. Yeah, so it is a mixture of like thinking about what I'm doing and not so much, which is what I like. I like it when I don't have to think about it and just jump.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like the more I think, the more mistakes I make. And sometimes I feel like the more I pay attention, the more mistakes I make. Like, even trying to learn releases, I think I have landed more releases when I'm not looking at the rope at all, when I'm looking straight ahead, than when I'm actually trying to pay attention to the rope. And I'm not sure why that is, but I need to turn off my brain more.
Yes, that happens to me all the time as well. Like when you're aware you've pressed go on your camera, and then you mess up, and then you'll do it while you're like, right, I'll just try it without the camera on, and then you land it, or you're like, oh, for God's sake.
Yeah, I have some, videos on my camera where I'll go set it on the tripod and skip for a while, and it'll be 30 minutes of video because in the beginning, I sort of trip up a little bit or whatever. And I mean, I always trip up a little bit, but the longer I go, the more I can kind of forget the camera's there and just be doing my thing. And every once in a while, I've had these experiences where after I'm done and I go back and watch the video, I see something that I'm amazed with, like where I feel it's kind of an out of body experience. Like, wow, look at that. I had no idea I did that, but that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a few of those as well. But what normally happens to me is I'll, like, when I'm making mistakes, and then I'll press record, go and do my tricks, come back, and then I'll press stop, like that failed again. And what happens is I end up switching it around, so I'm not recording my tricks, and then I'm just recording me walking back and forth to the camera.
I've done that. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I went out and skipped this morning, and I was skipping for a while, and in the park that I go to, they've got these little restrooms, or porta potties or whatever you call them. And so I took a break to go use the restroom, and I came out and went back into the car, and I realized that I had never shut off my video from when I was skipping before. So I had put my phone in my pocket, gone in the restroom, and so now I have audio of me peeing as well as my skipping, which is charming, I'm sure.
You look at it, it's like, 4 hours? What's happened?
Yeah. I've done that one as well, where I've turned it on and then put it in my bag and then realized that, it ran out of space at 4 gigabytes or something. Well, Aaron, I really appreciate you coming on and talking to me. This has been so much fun. And I just love interacting with you on Instagram. I'm always trying to get a laugh out of you. And so I hope I do.
Yeah. I always struggle, when someone compliments me and they're like, "Oh, you're brilliant."
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think I am. So thank you.
Yeah.
Then I just always put thank you with a smiley face. Yeah. It's a weird
Yeah.
one.
I understand, but you are brilliant, and you're helping a lot of people, and I'm just so glad you're part of the jump rope community, and that we're Instagram friends, and especially that you've come on and talked to me. This is awesome. Yeah. I was thinking earlier today we could have a whole British panel represent from different areas of the UK. Yeah, do some live skipping.
That'd be quite cool, actually. I always wonder how would you set it up so you can, so you can see everyone else skipping, but then you're skipping at the same time and recording it.
Yeah, my coach does these skipping sessions usually a few times a week, like Saturdays at 10, and they're on Zoom. And so, especially when it was summertime, I would take my laptop outside and prop it on a bucket or something, and then blow up the Zoom screen. And it was a lot of fun because he would have us jump, like, all right, we're going to work on releases, so everybody do this, or we're going to work on, this footwork. And he'd demonstrate it, and then we'd do it. And he can zoom in on specific people and say, hey, Inga, you show everybody how this is done. And so it's a lot of fun. It's also great to be able to get real-time feedback from somebody, like, wait, like he said, oh, I can see you're too tense, like, relax. And I just love that.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe we'll have to organize one of those.
That would actually be better live. I know when I'm doing tutorials, then they send me the bit, that they'll try this and send it to me. But that's from the beginning of when they was trying it, and not like towards the end. So then I'll send them based on that, and then
So Aaron, I am curious. Can you give me an overview of what does a normal day for Aaron look like from the time you wake up to like bedtime?
So my days are pretty stacked, to be honest. Straight away in the morning, so I get up, so get ready, get the kids ready. Then we drop them off at school. So we've just got the one car, and the missus drives it. So we'll drop the kids off at school, and then take me to work, and then she comes back, and yeah, and then obviously I'll go to work all day, finish, and then she comes and picks me up, takes me home, and then straight outside and doing skipping, dinner, sleep, and then the same again. Yeah,
Yeah.
just it is quite full on. Yeah, but it works.
And how many kids do you have?
3.
Boy, that's got to be a lot of work. I can't imagine, like, how do you even get time to skip? I have a dog that I have to take care of, but outside of that, I can just goof around. But
my kids
it's cool that you make time.
My kids are quite good, actually. They do entertain themselves a lot. Like, so one of them's in secondary school. One's in year 4, and then obviously there's a 3-year-old. He doesn't entertain himself. He just terrorizes everyone else. But
yeah. I'm curious, like, we talked a little bit about food cravings and stuff like that before, but Like, what's an average? I'm curious, like, what do you eat on an average day? Like, when you're doing this work stuff, are you eating at work? Do you pack yourself a lunch? What is it,
So
your food
I
intake look like?
typically walk to the shop and I'll just buy as much protein items as possible. Um, so obviously I used to like all the crisps and crisps. I don't know what you would call them. Like
Yep,
the bag,
like
the crisps
potato
around.
chips or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
potato chips. Yeah. Um, but yeah, it's mainly protein driven. So if I'm not at work, I will just have like 8 eggs in the breakfast, and a coffee, and then eggs again and another coffee. Yeah. So it's quite
Wow.
intense. My diet is just very protein driven. With not
So
much
when you
room for
say
anything
eggs,
else.
are you going to the market and buying raw eggs and then cooking them, or are you buying like hard boiled eggs?
I think we buy about 45 eggs a week just for me, which is obviously a little bit crazy. But then some people eat that in a day. So
That's not crazy, but that's a serious intake of eggs. But
yeah,
you're also a really big guy. You're 6'7", right? So
yeah.
yeah, it's got to take something to feed them.
I find it funny when my mates are at the gym and they're like, cutting their diets and they tell me
Mhm.
what they're eating. I was like, I don't think I would be alive if I ate that. They're like
Yeah,
under 2,000 calories. I'm like, I need way more than that.
yeah, yeah. When I used to do kickboxing, one of my friends who was doing it as well decided to do some competitive kickboxing, and so he got a gig at a casino where he was fighting against this other guy, and so he had to actually drop weight, and so for a few days he was like eating a salad and that was it, and he totally got hangry. He would get pissed off because his body wanted more, and I don't know, that
I,
self-torture that we go through.
I always look at the strongman because, like, obviously skipping's a big interest, but weightlifting is also a big interest. And I'm
Mhm.
like looking at the likes of four who are similar sort of height to me, and the amount of food they have to eat. It's like 5,000, 6,000 calories a day.
Yeah, it's like a turkey and a ham.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is like in your food intake, you mentioned crisps and stuff that you used to like. What is a weakness or what is a treat for you? Like, what do you treat yourself with food wise?
Um, probably pizza. Pizza's a pretty big weakness for me.
Yeah.
Or cheesy garlic bread. Like anything like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right up right up my street. That
Yeah.
cheese is obviously a big one as well.
Yeah.
Uh, that. Yeah, that's bad.
Do you have favorite types of cheese? Are you
Um,
selective?
pretty much any cheese as long as it says cheese on a packaging. I'm like, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So like obviously I make my healthy eggs and stuff like that, and then I'm like, I'll put some cheese on it, put some cheese on it. That is my weakness. So I just eat so much cheese.
Yeah. I like cheese too. Yeah. And I have to kind of control myself because I want to eat more. But the other thing is like I am skipping so much that I'm burning so many calories that I try and give myself a little bit of a break, like I really don't
Yeah,
count calories or whatever. I know when I'm taking in more than I need to, like when I eat an entire large pizza in one sitting.
yeah.
Do you cook like yourself or does your wife do all the cooking?
Um. So in terms of like the family meals, the missus does all of those mainly
Okay.
because everyone doesn't want a protein diet for the meals. But yeah, I do
So if
do a
it
bit
were
of
up to
cooking, but
you, everybody would just eat eggs all the time?
yeah, the eggs is the big one. Everyone's going to be every mealtime. I'm like, do you want me to make an omelette? She's like, no, I don't want a bloody omelette.
The kids are like, no more eggs, please.
Yeah. It's bad because I don't get bored of it, so I'm just like, I will have eggs every day, and
Right.
then yeah.
Yeah.
So same with like in the summer when you have like your salads and stuff. I
Mhm.
can have that every single day, so I'm like, we'll have a salad again. We'll have a salad again. I'm like, no more salads, no more eggs, no
Yeah.
more salads.
Yeah, I totally do the same thing. There's this specific salad I used to get at Costco, and I would just eat it every single day for lunch. Or I got in a kick one winter time where I made chili every week, and I'd make a big batch of chili and then just eat it for lunch every day. And it just removed that guesswork. It was the one less thing I had to worry about. I just knew I had a couple of cups of chili for lunch. I understand that
Yeah,
eating the same thing over and over again.
it's easier, isn't it? It's easier to keep your diet up if you're just like, I know what I'm having every day.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard. Do you know Oliver Sacks? Do you know that guy, I heard an interview with him on Radiolab years ago where he was kind of the same, and he ate like, it was not liver, but it was kidney. He had a thing for kidneys. So he would go to the market and he would buy 2 pounds of kidneys every time. And he had couscous, like kidneys and couscous was what he ate over and over again. But he went to the market one time and said he wanted 2 pounds, and they gave him 22 pounds, and he just didn't have it in him to say, no, I only needed 2 pounds. So he took home 22 pounds and then ate it over and over and over again until he just like totally blew himself on kidneys and he couldn't eat them again. But
I've done that with poor diet choices. I remember one time I did a fish only diet. Oh, that was horrendous. I did it for about 6 weeks. Oh man,
yeah.
Imagine waking up in the morning like I'm eating fish, lunchtime I'm eating fish, dinner time I'm eating fish, and then next day you're eating fish. You're like, that was horrendous diet. I'll never do that again.
Yeah, gotta have some pizza in there, man. You gotta have some pizza. So talk to me a little bit about your music taste. Like I mentioned that I've picked up several cool songs from watching your reels, but I'm curious, like, where did your music taste come from?
Growing up, UK garage was quite a big thing. Like, it's not really my age bracket. Like, it's the people a little bit older. But obviously, my older brother would listen to it, and then it would. I would obviously hear him listening to it as a kid, and it just sort of stuck with the garage rap sort of genre. But yeah, like it proper hypes me up, you know, when I'm working out and stuff. Like when I'm in the gym, put a bit of garage on. But yeah. That works well.
Are there specific bands that you listen to, or like favorites that you go back to a lot?
It's a bit of a mix-up, to be honest, because there's like, with the garage stuff specifically, whilst there were some very good songs, the same artist did make some very bad songs too. So it's like a bit of all the best ones. Which it's the same with the rap music as well. Obviously, if you listen to an Eminem album, not every song on there is good. So,
right. Yeah. Some of them hit different. Do you listen like using Spotify or some tool like that? Do you make playlists?
I usually listen to Radio 1 Extra, which is it's like all that sort of music, but obviously it's UK based, and I use that a lot. I do listen to Spotify and YouTube music and stuff as well. Cool. But I'm very specific, and I'll type in the exact song I want.
Yeah, I think when I interviewed Janie, she was talking about like she likes the suggested music feature of Spotify, and that she pays a lot of attention to that. Do you ever use that? I noticed they also have an AI feature that can just kind of suggest stuff based on what you've listened to.
No, I don't really use it too much, mainly because like like when you know what you like, and then like when you listen to Eminem, for example, it's okay when he's doing it, but there's another guy that sort of sounds like Eminem. It doesn't really work. So yeah. I am very specific on the ones I like and the ones I really don't like. Yeah. Especially, I don't know if you've heard modern rap. It's very mumbly and you don't really know what they're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. The older I get, the more I feel like, what? Yeah. I mean, I still love a lot of the music, but yeah, I totally don't get the lyrics always.
I remember you did a reel, and was it a Machine Gun Kelly and
yeah,
I think I can't remember who the other guy was now, but I was like, oh, that's two of the worst musicians on one track.
Yeah, you're not a Machine Gun Kelly fan, I take it.
No. I think he should have stopped after that beef with Eminem as well.
Yeah, I actually probably don't know much about that, but and I never really listened to him that much, but that was a case of something that was suggested to me on Spotify, and I was like, oh, this thing really sounds cool. I liked the song that was suggested to me. And then later on, looked at it and was like, oh, that was Machine Gun Kelly. Weird. I'd only seen him in like People magazine with, his girlfriends or whatever.
It was with Lil Wayne, wasn't it? Lil Wayne and yeah. Not like either of them.
Yeah. I'm curious, like, about jumpers. Like, there's so many great jumpers in the community, and so many people have, everybody's got their own style. But who inspires you? Like, who do you watch on Instagram and get inspired by?
So I watch like a big mixture of people. So like, and I'm watching you with your footwork. I don't do footwork, but I like to watch it, and then I might get inspired by one little movement that you do, which is the same for most skippers, because there's not many people that skip like I do, to take inspiration from. Like people do a couple of moves and then go back to normal skipping. I'm trying to keep it going indefinitely.
Yeah, you're a monster.
So there's like I don't know if you've heard of him. He's called Skip Owl, and he's ridiculous at releases. It's absolutely insane. But yeah, I watch that guy for releases. He does comment and tells me what moves are called when I'm calling them the wrong thing and all that sort of stuff as well. But yeah. For me, it's mainly just
it's Skip Al.
Yeah, Skip Owl.
Okay.
And he was also one of the first people that shared my channel as well, which is obviously really
cool.
Really cool of him to do.
So you said owl like the bird?
So it's Skip AWL.
AWL. Oh yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, great. So yeah, he inspires me a lot with the moves he does. I asked him the other day to skip like I do, because I know he can easily do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there's a lot of people that do like different challenges and stuff. When you see them do like double unders and then they're jumping in circles and double unders, how are you doing that? And then you see someone else do it as well. But yeah, I like the variation of it, and then just try and get inspired by little bits of what everyone else does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you mentioned releases, and there's this lady. I don't know if I've actually mentioned her on the podcast, but I think I told Janie about her after the podcast when we recorded. But I just love watching her. Her name is Miriam, and her handle is Miriam Jumps Dance. I'll put it in the show notes, but she is like a rope ninja. Like watching her releases, they're crazy, and she's so fast. And she, I think, is in Canada, and she sort of jumps on this little path in the woods, which is beautiful. But she's so fun to watch. Like every single time, I'm just mystified by her, and I want to be able to wrangle the rope like that.
Yeah, there's some crazy ones. I don't know if you've seen it when they're doing the Mamba. Mamba release, and then they jump the rope and carry on doing the Mamba. I'm like, what? How you done that?
Yeah, she's one of those people that does that sort of thing. Yeah, I don't have the Mamba down at all. I mean, I'm still struggling with releases, honestly, but
yeah, I'm not too good at releases. I seem to pull through them but I do them really high, so I've got loads of time to catch it.
Yeah, I am trying to work on my form. Honestly, one of the problems too is that one of the places that I jump, it's frequently very windy. So there's like one side I can do releases on, and the rope goes further away from me. And then the other side, if I try and spin it on the other side, I've got a split second before the rope blows back into me. So that is a little bit of a challenge, but I think in general, I still don't have the movement down. It's not natural.
I unlocked the bike release by pure luck.
Yeah.
I was trying a different move, and then I caught the rope. I was like, oh, wait, that was the release, and then did it again, and I was like, oh, I wasn't even trying for that move.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Man, I love that feeling.
Luck plays a massive role in skipping, I think. Like, huge.
I think luck, and then like for me, I've mentioned my nirvana is just kind of turning my brain off and just flowing. And sometimes when I'm like, I did that this morning. I had a friend who came to town, and I got up early, and the park opens at 7 a.m. So I was there shortly after that and skipping and I just kind of was able to get to that spot where I turned my brain off, and all of a sudden I was doing this thing with my feet that I'd never done before. And it was like this cool unlock. But it was because I wasn't thinking. It was because I was just flowing, and I just tried it. And I just love that feeling. And then I was like, oh my God, unlock. This is cool. And now I'm going to do it. So then I did it the rest of the day every time I jumped. But
yeah, that's a big way I unlock moves as well. It's just something happens and I'm like, oh, that was quite cool. And then you do it over and over again. And then someone goes, you're doing it a little bit wrong. You're like, oh.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What was the unlock that you were most proud of? Like when you had this unlock, you were like, oh my God, I wish I could tell my wife about this, and she would be as interested as I am.
I would say the double under was the biggest one. I'd been asked it so many times. So I could jump really high. So I was like, I've got the height, but then I'm trying to swing the rope round at the normal speed, and I'm like, oh, this doesn't work. And then I finally got it. And she was there actually when I got it, and I was like cheering around, and then I tried it again and failed, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the best one. But he done that bit.
Yeah. Right. Well, I've taken up so much of your time. I really appreciate you spending time with me on a Saturday to chat about jump rope. And thanks again for all you do for the jump rope community. You're a cool guy.
I try.
Hello, welcome to Skip Squad Chronicles with me, your host, Dizzy Skips. Every episode, I sit down with someone from our amazing jump rope community to hear their unique story, the ups, the downs, and all the skips in between. Join us as we share laughs, insights, and the spirit that makes this community truly one of a kind. Let's jump right in. Hey, thanks for hanging with us on the Skip Squad Chronicles. If you enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss the next one. And let's keep the Skip Squad growing. Tell a friend, drop a comment, hit like, favorite, and share it on social. I'd really appreciate it. Catch you on the next Skip-tastic episode. That's so stupid.